waiting a few minutes while we start everybody to be notified that we're going live. Just waiting a few minutes here. We'll be going live in just a couple minutes, so walk with me, talk with me while we are waiting. Just at the salon, getting everything ready so that we can go live in a couple minutes. Hi! What's good in the rock? Hey! Hey, Julie! Hi, guys! Welcome, welcome, welcome! Hey guys on Facebook, welcome. So listen up. The reason that I'm looking at you for a second from two different angles is because I wanted to introduce you to the salon before we get going with the content today. For those of you who are familiar, welcome back to Parlor. For those of you who are not familiar, my name is Andrea Bonawitz. I am, oh, that's my mannequin. Hey lady, you fell over. The weird part about being a stylist. We have mannequin heads all everywhere. So for those of you who are not familiar, I am a natural curl specialist and a color specialist here in Rochester, New York. There aren't very many in the country. Last time I read a statistic, it was like maybe 10,000 in the entire country. Usually there's not more than one in a 50-mile radius. We happen to have two specialists in Rochester. So Rochester is a kind of awesome hub. But not everybody is out there giving community education, so that's what I'm here to do today. I want to give some community education on curls. I miss my clients. We miss our clients, and we wanted to offer some nice free content. Hey, Jamie, good to see you. We wanted to offer some free content to you guys just to stay in touch. You know, it's such a relational business. We just want to say hi. And if you have friends or family who have heard about us or heard that this is coming up, awesome. This is the first of a series of 3. And we're talking all about curls today. We're just talking about natural curls and an introduction to it. So if you're already pretty familiar with curls, I'm hoping you can pull some good, you know when you're already familiar with something and then you go back and take the basics, sometimes it surprises you and you're like, oh wait, I didn't remember that, or I needed that reminder. So if you're already more advanced, come to this class or come to this lunchtime lesson for reminders. If you're new to curls, perfect. We're going to go through a lot of the basics today, and it's the kind of information that I talk to clients about when they come to consultations and their first appointment with me. Their first appointment is usually a little bit longer because within that appointment we do a dry cut on their hair, and then we walk them through what we're doing, why we're doing it, what we're using in a lesson style. So it's a little bit slower, and I'll stop and I'll pause and I'll make sure that if they're not familiar, that they're touching their own hair and that I see the actions they're doing and how they're doing it. So we're going to give you guys an intro. And for those of you who have never been to Parlor, I'm going to take my phone, which is the Instagram Live. I'm going to take it on a quick little tour of Parlor so you can see it. For those of you who are on Facebook, we're going to pause for about 60 seconds. Hi, Kate. We're just going to pause Facebook Live. I will be back in a moment. We're going to let people keep coming on for about 60 seconds so that I can't really carry both devices at the same time. So I have Instagram going on my phone. I have Facebook Live going on my iPad. So for those of you watching from Facebook, just give it a pause for 60 seconds. If you need to go to the bathroom real quick, go to the bathroom, then come on back, and I will meet you back here in a minute. For those of you on Instagram, welcome to my Parlor. Welcome to Parlor Salon. I'm going to walk you through what you would experience if it was your first time coming to the salon. Okay? So first of all, you may hear an echo. We are walking through a beautiful building. rock for a second, so I'm pausing. All right, so check this out. This is the door you're gonna look for, okay? Chairs for guests. This is our front desk where people cash out. Yeah, that's awesome. This is our retail shelf. We're starting to get a little sparse in the InnerSense area because everybody's been buying up the InnerSense stock. Are you guys still with me? Is this interesting? Do you want to see the rest? All right, I'll show you real quick and then we'll get going with our content. All right, so I'm going to walk into our spare room where we keep a fully stocked fridge for our clients to help themselves. We've got our coat racks over here. And in this room, I have set up to do some work today. Normally we don't have computers out, but this is where we have overflow seating. You guys like that lamp? My friend made it for me. It's made out of an old fishing, well, or new, I don't know. It looks like an old fishing basket. He designed it. That's a place for people to sit and have their hair dried. We've also got a coffee bar for clients. And a reminder that you are beautiful, surrounded by all of our love notes from clients. All right, so going back through the main room here. I'm going to take you into the main salon. Hi, Warren. Okay, hi. I'm just saying hi, put my face out there. Hey guys, I'm just giving a little tour of the salon. This is the main room. So when you walk into the main room, you'll see a station immediately on your left. The color bar, very, very, very full of color. We are massive colorists here. Hi, Lauren. That's my station where I usually work. This is the dryer, which we roll over. Lots of products. Lots of products. We sell delicious Volupsa candles. This is our sink, and this is my recording station that I made for today. So you'll see all my gear set up so that we can record and do this lunchtime lesson together. All right, so hi, Facebook friends. I am back. Thank you for your patience. I just wanted to give the Instagram friends that were joining me from Instagram Live a little sneak peek at the salon because I could carry my phone around and show them. Hey guys. All right, so now we're going to get going on content. I'm just going to get my phone set up here on my stand for all you Instagrammers. Sorry about that. You're just going to have to look at my weird outfit for a second. All right, here we go. Let's talk curls. Let's talk curls. Woo-hoo-hoo. I am going to shut the lights off so you're not getting so much overhead glare. Grab my notes and then let's get going. Okay, friends, here we go. We're talking curls today. We're talking intro to curls. I love teaching live classes. I've never really taught at all on social media live. I've always done it through the Brainery, or sometimes I'll do it through community organizations like a library or something like that. So anyway, I'm going to be enjoying any kind of comments or any kind of motion I see on the screen because I thrive off of feedback, and I'm so used to doing things live because I like the interaction and the faces and the questions. I love it when people just can't hold it and have a question. So I'll do my best if you have questions during this live event, and if something comes up afterwards, or if you are watching this on the replay that we post to our wall afterwards, please put your questions out there. I'd be so happy to answer them. We will post this as a replay so long as my technical abilities allow me to save it. I think I'll be good. All right, so starting with curls. How do you feel about your curls? Are you the person who loves them, just loves that they have so much personality? Are you the person that dreads them because you don't know what they're going to be day to day? Are you the person who would love them if you had any idea of how to work with them? And because we are living from home right now and doing lots of Zoom chats, I think there are more and more people who need a haircut or aren't putting quite as much effort in, and they're letting their hair be curly. And that's totally great. So I wanted to come at you with some content about curls. Curls are hair. They're special hair. They have different needs than straight hair in the sense that they're curly, which means their molecular structure is different, and they'll lose moisture and gain moisture quicker than straight hair typically would. So all hair needs to be cleansed. All hair needs to be conditioned and hydrated. And if you want to leave the moisture in the hair, keep the moisture in the hair, we also need to seal it in somehow. And then if you have a shape that you want to style into hair, or in the sense of curls, a shape that you want to set the hair in, then you might need a styling product, a setting product, or something to help maintain or hold the shape. Some people don't necessarily need or want that last step when it comes to curls. They want to cleanse, they want to hydrate, and they want to seal moisture in, but they may not be a fan of stylers. That's okay. But other people want the shape of their curl to stay that way for as long as possible, or they want maximum definition. So those people are going to always take that next step to use a styler. Unfortunately, we have been trained over time as consumers to only really think about styling. Okay, I cleansed my hair, I conditioned it, now I'm just like, I need a styler, and if it's not working, I don't have the right styler. That's not necessarily the case. Oh, I'm getting a great little comment. Okay, so frizz is a big issue. Okay, so we will touch on frizz. Thank you, Lynn, for throwing that out there. So similar to skin, your hair is going to be its optimum when it's not getting overly dehydrated. You're not drying it out too much. When it's not so you don't want to overly dry it, for one. So we have a preventative thing going on. Sorry, my mind saw some questions coming on the screen and then triggers are going off. So we don't want to dehydrate. We want to prevent. So when you're thinking of skin, first steps, prevention. Hair is very similar. First steps, prevention. Let's not dehydrate it by overly cleansing, using cleansers or shampoos that are way too strong. The second thing is curls will always need moisture. Even if your hair is as fine as mine is and curly, always will need some form of moisture. The trick is finding the right moisture weight for your curls. And that can change over time. It can change from season to season. It can change if your hair is colored or not colored. So, keeping in mind that you need the right moisture weight. Finally, you do need to find the right products to seal in moisture and or style. So we're going to talk about those things today. I also want to point out that as we talk about each point, the cleansing process, the hydrating process, the sealing process, and then the setting or the styling process, as we talk about those four things, I'm going to mention like a curly do and a curly don't. That way it kind of sticks in our head that like, oh, okay, this is a good thing to do. This is something that commonly is a mistake that's done wrong. Because you might be doing one of those things, and so we'll keep that in mind. A couple questions that have come up so far as I've been chatting is, how do we manage frizz? Especially if your hair is very fine. Another question that has come up is, how many times a week should I wash my hair? These are really good questions, so I'm going to touch on those things, all right? We also want to touch on, so we're going to talk about cleansing, conditioning, sealing, and setting or styling. And then we're going to talk about day 2. What do we do on day 2? Or day 3? Or day 4? So we'll chat about that as well, because I get that question a lot. So first of all, cleansing. before we proceed, it needs to be universally understood that I'm teaching based on a method called the Curly Girl method. There's so much out there if you Google this. So a very brief way to describe it is we are avoiding silicones in our products. We're avoiding sulfates in our cleansers. We're avoiding heavy oils. So we're trying to use products that are more natural. There's more specifics than just that. That's just the very beginner basic understanding of the Curly Girl method. And as I go through each step, I'll explain why. So when it comes to cleansers or shampoos, so I'm going to use this term somewhat interchangeably, it is best if you're not over cleansing your hair regularly. What that means is, yes, clean your hair, but if you're using a really aggressive shampoo that cleans, but maybe it cleans too much, you're gonna dry out your curls. So once you have your hair nice and clean, like a good reset, if you will, nice and clean, and you're using all these really good products, you don't need to be using that same aggressive cleanser every single time. So that's why companies have come out with creamier cleansers, non-sudsing cleansers. You may have heard the term co-wash. So that comes from the concept of cleansing with a lightweight conditioner. That was very popular at the stage when there really weren't creamy cleansers on the market. So using an all-natural, really lightweight conditioner was an option. Now that it's become so popular to sell creamy cleansers and low suds cleansers, shampoos that are free of sulfates, now that that's become popular, there's an entire category on the market for creamy cleansers called co-wash. And so you can use those as well. How often should you cleanse? It really varies. And that's the kind of information we chat about in a consultation. Most curls don't need to be cleansed every single day. I mean, that's just, it's sometimes quite dehydrating on curls to overly cleanse them. Doesn't mean you can't get them wet. No, you can get them wet, you can condition them every day if your hair likes that or if you want to give it all that moisture. But hair does not need to be cleansed, shampooed every single day. If you have very fine, are there people that are exceptions to the rules? Yes. Do you have very fine curls that are weighed down? Do you have swavy hair that's not really a tight curl and it likes to be cleansed more frequently? Perhaps you might cleanse a little more frequently, but most curls do not need to be cleansed every day. So when you're choosing your cleanser for your day-to-day cleanser, so the ones you're using the most frequently, we're going to Curly Do. We're going to try to find a low suds, sulfate-free cleanser. So here's a great example, all right? I'm just going to give you a couple examples. This is, grabbed the wrong one. This is the Diva Curl No Poo. I know it's going to be backwards on the screen for some people. It's Diva Curl No Poo. It is a creamy cleanser, all right? If I can get some out of here, we're kind of low. It's creamy. You do need to take creamy cleansers and truly get them to the scalp and scrub the scalp with them because there's no suds to do the work for you. Now, when you're using creamy cleansers, please keep your hair very wet. Always when you're working with them because it helps them move through the hair and on the scalp much, much easier. I want to also mention that I'm still a proponent of doing a deep cleanse once in a while with a sudsy shampoo. It's what we in the curly world would call a detox cleanse. You can detox cleanse. I prefer a detox cleanser. Like if I'm going to go the extra mile of using something that has a suds, I'm suggesting a detox cleanser that is designed for that. So Diva Curl makes one called Build Up Buster. It's designed to detox cleanse. It's a micellar cleanser. and you don't do it too frequently. For most of my curly clients who are using really good products, I don't recommend that they do it more than every 8 weeks. Unless you have kinky curly hair, really, really tight coily hair, and you're layering lots of product on your hair when you style, and you're setting it for a week at a time. If you're in that category, then you're going to use a stronger cleanser regularly. And we would chat more about what order to use your cleansers in at your consultation. So for those people, yes, you're going to do a really deep cleanse. But for pretty much everyone else who isn't heavily layering their hair with a lot of product, then you don't need to do this more than about every 8 weeks. So for your wavy, swavy, curly, Botticelli is a type of curl that is discussed in the Curly Girls Handbook by Lorraine Massey. If anybody would like me to put a link to that, it's an excellent book. It was the beginning of the curly girl method. This author was the author that really started this concept and started educating people on the concept of avoiding sulfates, using creamy cleansers, avoiding silicones in your products. Okay, so here we go. We talked about cleansers. We're going to use the creamy cleanser. What we don't want, so your curly do is low sulfate and creamy cleansers. What you don't want is a lot of suds in your cleanser, because the actual scrubbing of the suds can be very drying out to the curls. What you don't want is anything with the word sulfate in those top few ingredients. Sulfate creates suds, and it has a drying effect. It's derived from similarly to salt, the word sulfate, salt. So it definitely helps with creating bubbles and with cleaning, but it over cleans your hair. So it's not that it doesn't clean, it's just that it does it too much. So we want to avoid that so we're not drying out the hair. And I like to avoid things with like any sulfate in the ingredient at all. Like, so there's different kinds, but like some are gentler than others. It's just steering clear of them will be helpful. Another favorite for me, and this is a brand that we use here at the salon, is, grabbing it to show you, the Inner Sense line, which we've been selling like crazy since quarantine started, because it's something that you can order online through our website or get product pickup here. We are doing product pickups at the salon for anyone who needs a product. And this is an awesome company that has sulfate-free cleansers, but they have a very mild suds. So for somebody who's like, I'm not quite into a creamy cleanser, I do want a little suds, but I want gentle, this is an awesome line. All right, step 2. We've talked about cleansing. We've talked about working with creamier cleansers and low sudsing cleansers. Now we're going to talk about hydrating. So two, if you're watching this video and you want to stop it and go back, this is the second step. All right, we're going to talk about hydrating the hair, healing, finding the right conditioner for your hair. So somebody had asked me earlier, I have really fine curls, like tight, fine curls. How do I find like the right conditioner? They're always frizzy. So conditioners come in various weights as well. If you're not overly dehydrating your hair, if your hair is not getting dried out because of your shampoos, you won't need quite as intense of conditioners. So that's the beauty of prevention. But in the beginning, as your hair is healing, you do need to make sure that you're conditioning it really well. And then when it comes to that place where it's starting to find its balance, you'll find that you might be able to back off and use slightly lighter conditioners. Diva Curl, that has the no poo non-sudsing cleanser, has a wonderful conditioner called One Condition. I'm going to show you that. One Condition, very, very lightweight. So for those of you who have fine hair, it's not lightweight at all, and it's called One Condition because it both can condition and be rinsed out, or it could be used as a leave-in. It's actually finer and more lightweight to my hand and to the touch than the shampoo. So it also could be used as a co-wash. One condition is really lovely. A lot of people use the no poo one condition combo. I find that it can be a little too light for some curls, especially if your hair is longer. This hair is young, this hair is old because it's been on your head for years. Sometimes we need to use a different kind of conditioner on the hair that's on our ends. What if your hair has been highlighted a lot, like mine? Sometimes you need to use a different conditioner or a stronger conditioner, like a mask on your ends. So be aware that the same conditioner it may not work for all of your hair. You might need a different conditioner up here and then a stronger conditioner down here. Or you might need to use less of it up here and more of it down here. Or if you have a very frizzy zone on your head, maybe in that zone, I've seen this before where people have really frizzy crowns, right? Maybe in that zone you need to use your stronger conditioner, your mask. But on the other areas that aren't as tight of a curl or aren't as frizzy, maybe those areas you can use your lighter conditioner. So that is the aha moment that I'm hoping to help people arrive at, in the sense that we often think, I want one shampoo, I want one conditioner, and it feels like, is it just do those stylists just want me to buy so many products and it's just it's all just a way to make money? No, you just have hair that needs different things in different areas. And honestly, even if you do buy 4 products, 2 different cleansers and 2 different conditioners, you're not going to go through it at the same pace, whereas if you had 2. So it's really not more money in the long run. You're just getting the right things so that you treat your hair the right way. So in terms of conditioners, we want to avoid things that have silicones, heavy waxes, heavy oils. So those are curly don'ts. In terms of curly do's, we want to find conditioners that don't just sit on top of the hair, but go into the hair. We want conditioners that's the right choice for the root area, the right choice for the ends. Or if you have a really dry or frizzy area, the right choice for that. So there are different weights, and someone like myself, who's a curl specialist or your stylist, should be able to help you to guide you in the products that they sell between which ones are light, which ones are medium, which ones are stronger weight. Does this make sense? So all the conditioners that I use on curls, all the daily conditioners that I use on curls, soak into the hair. I don't use anything that's going to sit on top of the hair and not go in. Those tend to not really do much other than maybe soften the outside. And because the conditioners that I use go into the hair, I can trickle rinse. I don't have to really heavily. I can trickle rinse or use a very light rinse up at the roots and even leave some of it in through the ends. As far as masks go, a mask is a conditioning product that sits on the hair for anywhere from 5 minutes to overnight, depending on the mask, and it's a long-term softening and conditioning agent. Masks vary a little bit more from mask to mask. Some of them soften the outside and also penetrate the inside. Some of them only go into the hair. So again, you would want to check in with me. If you were working with me, you want to have your consultation and talk about things so that I could guide you to the correct mask for your hair. It's really good to understand, though, that not all masks, even if they say they're for curls, not all masks should be left on the hair. Some of them really do need to get rinsed out because some of them will coat the hair a little bit too much. So just keep that in mind. So we've talked about number 1, cleansing. We've talked about number 2, hydrating. And now let's talk about number 3, how to find a product that seals the moisture into the hair, and if you choose to style it, sets the hair. So your curls lose moisture very easily. It's just like skin. You put the hydrator on it, by the end of the day your skin might feel a little dry again. Your curls will do that as well. So once you've hydrated them with conditioner, you can then use a product that will help lock that conditioner in a little bit. There are very lightweight products, and there's products like a gel, which both lock it in and they style at the same time. So depending on the effect that you want. So if you had hair, like the question I got earlier about, I have really frizzy hair and it's really fine. If you have hair that's really fine and frizzy, you're probably going to want to do a little bit of both. You're probably going to want to put a setting product in there. Put a sealing product in there to hold the moisture, but also set the shape of your curls so that as they dry, they don't just become a mass of undefined curl. You can have hydrated curl that doesn't have definition. If you choose not to put products in it, it's not going to help it stay in clumps. It's not going to have definition. So how you put your products in and what you put in helps create definition. And those are the sort of tips that we share with each individual client when they come for their appointments and we're doing the styling portion of it. We're showing them unique to their hair how to style it with their products. Because every different curls, different ways. We will get to a few tips on that. Now, as far as we were talking about this example of fine frizzy curls. Okay, so a product, you could use a product if you're not looking for strong definition or you don't want the feeling of product in your hair. Use a really lightweight, slippery product like the Diva Curl Believe In, or like the Inner Sense, it's called I Create Volume. They're slippery, they're clear, they dry with a little bit of a set on the hair. Depending on the brand you use, they dry a little bit differently. This one's very popular for finer hair. It does have a very, very gentle hold factor, but it's not going to give you extremely strong definition. It's great for hair that's frayed at the ends, like has been highlighted or is on the older side and needs a cut. It's great for hair that's just fine in general and needs a plumpier feeling. But the beauty of these products is that they are like super slippery, like really slippery. So if you have fine hair and you don't want to leave too much conditioner in, it's still nice to have a lot of slip when you're bringing your hands through. And just, they're not only good for fine hair. It's just answering that one question from earlier. I Create Volume, also super slippery, a really nice hold. It has great definition for day one hair, but once you sleep on it, it's not strong enough like a gel that it will keep your hair from breaking up on the pillow. So it's great for a person who might style every day or likes definition on day one, but then on day two, they're like, it's okay if it's a little softer, a little bigger, I'm okay with that. So that's what a product like Inner Sense I Create Volume is, and I'll show you what that looks like. All of their bottles look very much the same. Inner Sense I Create Volume. But watch how drippy that is. You see that? Getting in front of the camera there. Drippy, drippy, drippy. Very drippy. And then when I touch it, it's like slippery. Very slippery. It's kind of lubricant feeling, right? So when it dries, it's a little firmer though. It doesn't stay slippery. Just, again, great for day one, softer and bigger on day two. So these are the kind of unique personalized tips that we would give people when you come to actually have a consultation with us and when you're working with us one-on-one. We're able to really customize like a recipe, if you will, for your hair. And we're not going to necessarily get everything 100% the very first time because we're learning what your preferences are. We're learning what our preferences are, and we're trying to help guide you based on your preferences. So we'll start by giving you a baseline. We think these things are ideal for your hair, much like when you go to the doctors and they hear your symptoms, they're like, okay, this is what I think you need to treat these issues. We'll do the same. And then you'll need to do a follow-up with us to let us know, like at the next appointment, all right, so how did those things work? How did you like them? Was there anything that you'd want to adjust a little bit? And we'll listen to your preferences really carefully to figure out if, okay, so next time I'm going to give you this other gel that's a little softer, or next time I'm going to give you this conditioner that does more of what you like, oh, it sounds like your hair is really responding well to that and it's in great condition. So now we can switch you over to this thing because your hair can handle it. So it's not like this one recipe that we used the very first time is what you're going to use for the rest of your life. That's just what we start you out on, and then you're developing a relationship with us so that we can know your hair and keep making recommendations that are relevant as you change, as your body changes, as the weather changes, as you color it differently. We'll be able to keep track with you and help you with those things. Yes, I did want to confirm that I was talking about the InnerSense I Create volume. It's a very, very lightweight, slippery, I call it a setting lotion. So it seals in moisture, but it also gives you a little bit of a set. For people who prefer a firmer hold in the InnerSense line, I recommend using InnerSense I Create volume layered by their gel. You can use the I Create volume first, you can use the gel second, or vice versa. There are pros and cons to doing it the different ways. You'll have to talk directly with myself or your curl specialist to figure out what we recommend for your specific type of curls in terms of what order to put those products on. And you can play with it if you have it at home first and start to decide, oh, do I like the lotion first or the gel second? The gel first or the lotion second? Okay, great. I'm going to take a pause for a second here. We have talked about cleansing, we've talked about hydrating, we've talked about step 3, sealing the moisture in with a product like Believe In or I Create Volume. You could use a lightweight foam. And then we're going to talk here about setting. So setting means styling or setting the shape of the curl. Some of the setting products will also seal moisture in. But typically for curls, you'll do 2 products. One layer to do more of the sealing moisture in, and one layer to do more of the set. And some hair responds well to the first layer of the sealing and moisture being a more hydrated product, and some hair responds better to it being a product that doesn't do a lot of hydrating, just creates a coat on the outside, like I Create Volume. So when it comes to setting the curl in its shape, another word for styling, if you're using a foam or a mousse, a gel, those are the types of products that are going to do setting for your hair. Any questions about that? I'm taking a pause for some questions. I'm not going to speak for a second because I feel like this has been the thing I love about Facebook Live is that it's live. The thing I don't love is it feels a bit like a monologue. I don't get as many questions as in a live class with people. I'm just going to get this lady set up while I wait for questions. If you guys have any, feel free to jump in. What's your take on oils in DIY treatments or in the lock method? What's your take on oils in DIY treatments? Okay, let's talk about oil for a second. I don't use the lock method. I'm familiar with what it is. I don't tend to use it very often, so I won't speak to that. Thank you for asking. As far as oils, though, heavy oils, oil can be just as heavy as a silicone. Oil can be heavier in weight than a silicone, but just block moisture just as much. So thank you for bringing this up. I had mentioned earlier that when we are choosing our products, we should avoid silicones. Why? If you've never heard of this concept before, let me explain. Oils fit into this as well. Silicones, while they are a lovely option for hair products at times, they create nice viscosity, they can be very lightweight, they help to seal out moisture. Seal it in, seal it out. So why wouldn't we want to use it on curls? What's so bad about a silicone if it seals moisture in and out? Let me tell you. Basically, they do such a good job that they cannot be cleansed out with a gentle cleanser. So then you're forced to use really strong and aggressive cleansers when you use products that have silicones or silicone derivatives. I'm getting another question. I will address that after this one. So I'm going to keep talking to you about silicones and oils. So not only are they hard to get out with a gentle cleanser, sometimes they can't, but even when you're using strong cleansers, they tend to build up in hair. So then you have a very thin coat of something that you may not even really be able to feel building up in your hair, preventing it from being able to receive moisture. So you're fighting an uphill battle because you have to use stronger cleansers when you use silicones, and then you also aren't getting the hydrating benefits from your conditioner as much as you could. So if you're somebody who doesn't always wear your hair curly, if you're someone who goes back and forth and you're using products that might help you smooth it out, that might have silicones in them, or plastics in them, you're going to have to use stronger cleansers and really detox your hair before you're going to be able to start wearing it curly again, because there are things that are going to block your hair from receiving moisture. And if you've been on silicone products for a long time, and maybe you didn't know, that's fine. So maybe you're trying to get away from them. It might take a while of using the curly girl method until your curls come to their full potential, because you need to be cleansing out those buildups of silicones or synthetics in your hair, and you're going to be rehydrating it. But it can only get hydrated as much as your hair will let it. And if there's buildup in there, it may not let it. As far as oils go, even oils that are all natural can build up in hair and create blockage for the hair to receive moisture. So I don't recommend really heavy oils. I'm not anti-natural oil that goes into hair. I'm not anti. And I will also say we use a line here, not exclusively for curls, because we don't only do curls at Parlor. We also work with hair that we smooth out and blow out. We use a line here that's all natural, but it has naturally occurring silicones. Well, is that okay for curls? I mean, it's not artificial. It's naturally occurring. Should I use those? To answer that question, I just suggest avoiding silicones in general when you are trying to start wearing your hair curly and encouraging it to be as curly as possible and get as much moisture as possible. So what about oils? What about products like Shea Moisture that have all natural? They rank really high on the all natural category. Well, in my experience, they're all natural, but their oils are so heavy, they still build up in the hair, and they're not really deeply, their hydrators don't seem to be really deeply penetrating hair and giving it the hydrating benefits that I'm looking for curls. So I just wanted to say that oils can be nice if they can soak into hair. Some oil sits on top, some oil soaks in. I want the kind that can go into hair and that isn't just sitting on top of it. Does this make sense? I hope I answered that question well for you. Thank you so much for asking it. I also have a question. I've been trying to apply mousse and gel in the shower after conditioning. Is that a good time to apply mousse and gel in the shower? When should these products do? Thank you so much for asking. When it comes to styling, one of the things that I correct the most for beginners is that they're drying their hair with a towel. You might be drying your hair with a towel before you put your products in. No, actually, the ideal way to put products into curls is on really drippy, wet hair. So, as Lynn had said, in her shower, her hair is probably super drippy. And it's freshly conditioned, it's full of water. That's the ideal time to be putting your products in, and I will tell you why. Your hair is its smoothest and it's easiest to spread things when it's really nice and drippy. The curls bundle and find themselves really, really easily. If you towel dry your hair first and take that moisture out, your products are not going to go in as easily. You're going to use more product than you need to. Your curls aren't going to bundle to each other. And as you spread your fingers through them to smooth them out and elongate them, they won't spring back as well because they don't have enough water in them to help them spring back. So thank you so much for asking that. It is essential that you keep your hair really drippy with water when you're applying your styling products? Thank you for asking that question. Any other questions that we have coming in? While you guys are gathering your questions, I'm just gonna show you my little mannequin lady. Oh, hello, mannequin. This one came without a name. I'm gonna call her Suzanne. This is Suzanne the mannequin. They always have these like names that sound like they're from the 80s. Okay, so I do something called the curly dry cut. I'm gonna see if I can get this camera a little bit straighter for you. Okay, so a dry cut means when hair has been styled and defined curly, I can go in there with my scissors and I can cut it dry. Have you guys heard of a curly dry cut before? I think you probably have, or you may have heard it mentioned. So basically, why would we cut curls dry? As long as your curls are well hydrated so that the bounce factor is what it should be, cutting curls dry can be a lot more accurate than cutting them wet. I see that it's getting a little dark on screen, so I'm going to turn a light on so you can see her better. Okay, a little bit more light. All right, so curly lady. Drop this down just a little bit for you. All right. Here we go. So, basically, I'm sure you've noticed on your head of curls that sometimes your curls bounce differently in some parts of your head than others. So for instance, do you guys have a zone on your head? I know everyone's different, but it's so typical where your curls are a little tighter and another zone on your head where they're looser. It can vary from head to head, but I see a lot like in the back, the curls are kind of loose, and right around the face, they're really tight, around the ears. So this mannequin is very uniform in how she's been cut, because, not in how she's been cut, in how her curls lay. Because mannequins aren't naturally curly. They were permed curly, so they're using all the same perm rod. But I want to help illustrate the point that when you are cutting curls, if you use even tension with a comb, and you cut that even tension all around, even if you're just doing a basic bottom line, but the back or one zone curls like more soft and wavy and another zone springs up, you're going to get a very uneven look because you can cut in a very even line, but the tight area is going to spring up a lot higher and the loose area is going to go low, and it's not going to be balanced and even. So when we're cutting curly hair, we try to use minimal tension, as little tension as we need to get through the curls, and cut to where the curl sits. So that if I'm cutting a straight line, I can just see it and cut it. There's not a surprise of like using a comb and all that tension and then waiting to see where the different places bounce. Another thing is, when there's water in the hair to cut it, it weighs it down. So it deceives you as to how much the curl's gonna bounce up. All curls, whether you cut them dry or wet, are gonna bounce up a little bit after you hydrate them, because when they've had fresh hydration, they wanna spring a little bit more. But if there's no added water weight in the curl, when it does bounce up, it's a lot less dramatic. So I wanted to show you that this little lady was cut, our lady Suzanne was cut, and on this side, we cut her wet with a comb and with tension. Now, when we started with Suzanne, she told us that she wanted her hair to land right around the black band here, so right above her shoulders. And that was our line that we were aiming for. I pulled her hair down with a comb and I cut her below the black band, knowing that her curls were going to spring up. And this is how much they sprung up over here. That was wet with a comb. me doing my best to guess how much they would spring up. Now over here, we cut her curls dry curly. We did a dry cut. So minimal tension, and look at her length. It's landing right where she asked us to cut it. Now after we hydrate that, it might spring up a little bit, but not going to be this dramatic and scary experience for her. And that is why we do dry cutting. The other thing we can do when we're dry cutting is curl by curl. So I can look at the curls on someone's head. I can tilt their head in different directions, and I can individually see curls and cut to those individual curls, which is great because if you have hair that's really tight in one zone and really loose in another, you're going to be cutting it different in different areas. So that is why the dry cut is so awesome in terms of being more accurate. Okay, so I have a question here. What if you cut the curls as they lay, so dry cut the curls, but then you want to wear your hair straight one day? Amazing question. So if you are getting a curly dry cut and you want to straighten it, is it going to look okay straightened? It's not going to be a precision haircut. It's not going to be like a precision bob. It won't necessarily look bad straightened, but let's be honest, you're getting it cut for curls. You're getting it cut to look its best when it's curly. So if you want it, you have to make a decision when you're choosing to go to a curl specialist. Do you want a haircut that looks its very best when you're wearing it smoothed out, or that you want it to look its very best when it's curly? If you're choosing to go to a curl specialist, you're probably choosing that you want it to look its very best, be shaped for when it's curly. So yes, I see that Instagram paused for a second to reconnect, so I'm going to repeat. So yes, if you choose to blow it out, it can still lay nicely, but no, it's not going to look like a precision cut, and it will always look better when you style it curly if it's cut for curls. But thank you for asking that question. I appreciate it. Another thing is if you have very uniform curls, so like this lady here, she has very uniform curls. That kind of hair, when blown out, is going to look the most even. If you have curls that are exaggeratedly different in different zones, you're really loose in one zone, really tight in another, and we're doing a curly haircut, when you wear it smoothed out, it's going to look the weirdest because it was cut for those exaggerated different zones that bounce up really different in different areas. Hope that answered your question. Any other questions? So here's my lady Suzanne. Let me show you the side of her hair. I'm going to try to turn her here for you. She has a slightly inverted bob, softly rounded to avoid that pyramid effect that can happen if everything is all cut to one length. See how it's rounded? It doesn't stick out like this. This side that was cut wet, we still used technique to round it, but it's a little bulkier, a little more square looking. And again, because we cut it using tension, we weren't able to get quite as beautiful of a line here, not quite as beautiful of an inversion. So I don't think it's quite as amazing looking, even though it's a good standard cut. It's not quite as amazing looking as the side that we cut to the curl. It has this really soft, pretty inversion, softly rounded. Okay. While I'm waiting for any more questions to come in, I'm going to also show you another mannequin that I have. Hello, ladies. Okay. Can anybody tell me, when you look at these ladies, all right, this is not a real mannequin stand that I'm putting her on. This is a blow dry stand. Okay. When you look at these two ladies, let me scooch these over a little bit. Do you see a difference in their curls? Now I want to tell you these are the same mannequins. They both had the same perm rods. So there shouldn't be a huge difference. But when I look, do you guys see a difference? This one, a little tighter, a little more defined. and this one a little softer. They look a little more like wavy curly. These mannequins were styled with the same products. Yes, they've been through a few classes, so, you know, they have a little surface frizz, but the interesting thing about these two ladies is that she has had more chemical processes done to her hair. And so her hair has relaxed even more than hers. So I wanted to also point out that if you choose to do color work and chemicals, which I am not against, I love them. If you choose to do color work and chemicals, you may relax your curl pattern. You may have a slightly different curl pattern, and you may have to purchase different products to support your curls. So if you bought all your products before you were coloring your hair, and then you color your hair or you highlight it, you might need to buy some different shampoos and conditioners or some different products to support your curls. Your curls may relax a little bit, may behave a little bit differently after doing chemical work. So it's just something to keep in mind. These mannequins, they are all colored to be the same color. So they go through that. They're then permed to have a uniform curl pattern. And then she, because she was a practice mannequin, also got highlights. So she has gone through, at minimum, 3 chemical processes. So she's gone through a lot for her curls to start drooping and being more wavy. She has probably gone through 2 chemical processes because I never colored or highlighted her hair. This is the color she came as a mannequin. So just to keep that in mind, guys, I wanted to point that out to you. Okay, so I am going to read any other questions that might have come in. And then I'm going to say goodbye. So let's see. What if you cut the curls as they lay, but you want to... Okay, so that question we already did. All right, thank you for that. All right, so we said we would talk for a minute about day 2 hair. But I think that we're coming to about the hour mark since we started. So here's what I want to tell you for when you dry your hair and day 2 hair. We know to cleanse with creamy cleansers and avoid sulfates. We know to hydrate with conditioners that go into the hair, don't sit on it. We know to use conditioner in different areas. We know to keep the hair really wet while we're working with our low suds shampoos and our conditioners. We know to keep the hair really wet when we're applying our styling products onto our hair. Okay, so these are the things we've learned today. We've learned that some styling products they're just gonna hold moisture in and they're just gonna seal moisture, but they won't necessarily set the shape. Some of them will do both. Some of them will seal moisture in and set the shape. We know that most curls need to be layered with 2 products, one to seal in the moisture and one to set the shape. Yeah, that's right. So some people are using 2 gels. Some people are using a setting lotion and a gel. Some people are using a cream and then a gel. So just keep these things in mind. If you don't want more definition to your curl bundles, if you want a soft and natural diffused look, then go ahead and skip the setting product. Just make sure you're putting something in that seals the hair. Aw, thank you, Andrea. Thank you for your comments. So we know those 3 things. We know to keep your hair super drippy before you put your styling products in. So before you put your setting product and your sealing and your setting products in. What about when you dry it? What to use when you dry it? Microfiber is an option. It's extremely absorbent. Extremely absorbent. Oh, hey, Facebook. I just had to take a pause because Instagram, I guess, stops live videos around an hour mark. So I'm here on Facebook, and then we will share anything over to Instagram that we can. So microfiber, extremely absorbent. That's good and bad. It's great in the sense that it won't create a lot of frizz. It doesn't have terry loops. But it's not great if you have the kind of hair that doesn't need all the water taken out. So if your hair is sensitive to having too much water removed, avoid microfiber. And if you want maximum water removed and you don't want the little terry cloth loops creating frizz in your hair, microfiber is good. For less absorbency, and this is my personal preference, I like your basic bar style flour sack towel that you could find in like a kitchen store. It's not as absorbent, it doesn't have terry cloth loops, and it allows you to control how much water you pull out of your hair a lot easier. So this is my recommendation for styling. I think that this was an awesome video, that we got lots of questions, and I think that we should continue talking about some of this stuff on another video. As far as day 2 hair, for hydrating, I recommend that you hit it with a little bit of a little bit of water. You can use like a lavender water if you want to. 1 second, guys. I'm just going to hop back onto Instagram. Hey guys, welcome back. We were just talking about towels with the Facebook group. Instagram stopped the live video. I think it stops at around the 1 hour mark. So if you're still here on your lunch hour, great. If you had to come back, of course, we'll do the replays. We'll put the replays on the walls or on Instagram TV, which I have not done yet, but I will. So anyway, I'm showing everybody this flour sack towel. This is amazing for drying your hair because it's not over absorbent. It allows you to control a lot, and it doesn't have terry cloth loops. So it's really, really good. It won't pull on your curls and create frizz. It's basic, something you could get like on Amazon. You could get it from the salon here. You could get it in a kitchen store. It's really basic bar style, flour sack style towel. Second day hair, refreshing your hair with water is always helpful because the curls sometimes get a little frizzy and they need a little water. That's not going to do any styling. It's just going to refresh the stylers that exist in the hair. So if your hair feels like it needs more than just a little water to reactivate the products, that's when you're going to do a little water, a little leave-in conditioner, and you're going to work really softly. I'm going to show you on this curly lady because I don't have curls. All right, so she's got great second day hair. Love it. We want to reactivate the products that are in there, and she's got hair that's been chemically treated at minimum 2 times. So we also want to put a little conditioner in there to hydrate her ends. It's just helpful to hydrate ends, right? So your hair is going to lose some moisture, and so you need to rehydrate it just like you need to rehydrate your skin. So I'll put a little water in, a little leave-in conditioner, and if I feel that I need it, I might softly run a little bit of my setting product through the ends as well if it needs it. And that setting product could be something that comes out in the form that I can rub in, or it could be something that I spray in, like a wet hairspray that is silicone-free. So let me see how her hair reacts once I put a little water in it. We're going to do the pretty side here. Pretty as in how we cut it. There we go. So I put some water in. I can see some surface frizz on her hair. It's not going to be as perfect as it is day 1, but the point is to reactivate product. And when I'm reactivating, if all I do is tilt and scrunch, all that frizz in the mid-zone is going to stay. If I want to lose a little bit of that frizz, then I need to use a slightly smoothing method of touching. So I need to slightly smooth through the hair. So while I do that, I'm going to use a leave-in conditioner. I am going to use our best-selling, and excuse me while I go grab it. Our best-selling leave-in conditioner comes in a spray form. It's by Inner Sense. Remember how we were talking about Inner Sense earlier? Leave-in, Sweet Spirit it's called. It actually smells sweet. And I can put it in one of 2 ways. I can put it on my hand, and if I put enough in, you see how it actually forms quite a good pile of conditioner. You can see it's not super watery, so I can put it in that way. And what I do is very similar to when I put styler in hair. I do a large section and then I break it up into smaller sections. I'm not trying to separate curl bundles. I'm trying to keep curl bundles together. And when I don't have any left on my hands anymore, then when I don't have any left on my hands, that's when I go back for more if I need more. Another way I can put that product in is by spritzing it in. So if your hair doesn't have too much frizz and you don't want to handle it that much, you can spritz it in, you can tilt, and you can scrunch. Just remember to put a little water in first so it's not just straight conditioner. So look how pretty that is. Look how pretty that it has revived itself. Much less frizz than we had before. Beautiful second day hair. It's going to dry lovely. And if I want to put a setting product in, I'm going to go, because I really like how this looks, and I think it revived her gel really nicely. So I'm going to go for a lightweight, flexible, wet hairspray. This is I Create Finish. This is an InnerSense hairspray that is all of the things we just discussed. It is lightweight, it is wet, it is flexible. It can be used on wet or dry hair. And it dries with a bit of a set to it. So I want to hit some of that frizz up there towards the roots. And I might have a favorite curl that I want to enhance a little bit more. So maybe I'll pull one or two of those curl bundles up. And then of course I can scrunch a little to reinvigorate some of that. Beautiful. And if you are not as short as she is, if you're flat on top, tip your head even more deeply and scrunch up a little higher for that area. If you don't want hairspray on your ends because you have longer hair, she has pretty short hair so it works, but if you don't, you can tilt the hair deeply and just spray up in here and not spray the ends as much. But look how pretty that reinvigoration worked. How nice does that side look? Way less frizzy than it was before. Get up close, way less frizzy. This is the side that we didn't do it to. This is the side that's dry, but has a lot of that surface frizz. As soon as she gets out in humid weather, it's not going to look so good. So that's a good example of a day 2 refresh on a mannequin there. Okay, awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for attending. Oh, okay, I did have one more question, and I will answer it before we go. Okay, do I have any recommendations for cutting your own hair if we can't get to you? I did talk about this in my last live video, but I didn't talk about it for curls specifically, so I'll just give you a little tip. Don't. Do's and don'ts. Curly do's, curly don'ts. Okay. Please don't try to reshape your own hair. So she has layers, she has a lot going on. Don't do major changes. If you've got a curl and you can tell it's fraying on the end or it's got that like crunchy feel, and you want to take, you know, that bundle that's defined, a very defined bundle, and you want to get to the very tip of it with scissors and just do a snip, that new fresh end will be able to receive moisture better than your splitting end or your end that's getting that bald feeling. Okay? And when I say bald, I mean like, you know when like you get to the end of the hair and there's that little like crunchy, I call it like a little ball of crunch on the end. So if you're getting that, that's not a good thing. That hair is not going to be able to receive moisture. Think of a flower when you cut the stem fresh in water, how it receives moisture really well, similar to your hair. So, yeah, if you need to, absolutely, if you have really, really, really frayed ends, or if you have that crunch factor going on. So for those in Instagram world, you're not as close. I'm going to move the mannequin closer to you for a second. Facebookers, please don't mind me because you guys already saw this up close. So if you have a really frayed end and you need to go in there, I want you to use a bundle that's really defined and that obviously belongs together. you can stretch it out until you get to that really frayed end. You shouldn't be taking any more than like that teeny tiny bit. It's called aeration, when we just take that little teeny tiny bit off, and creating a new fresh little blunt end there will help it. A new fresh little blunt end will help it to receive moisture, and it will help kind of get you through till your next haircut in the salon. If your hair isn't in a defined bundled state like that, I don't recommend going in and trying to cut it, because there's all kind of nonsense you could get into, and then you'll end up with holes in your hair and you'll really regret it. I'm not going to judge anyone when I see them. I will not judge anybody when I see them in the salon. I might be fixing some hair. There might be some people who've done their own color retouches. What I'm asking is you to be aware that if you're going to do something that's not recommended, you may not like the results. And I'm also begging clients to please, if you must retouch, okay, I understand it. Please don't try anything dimensional or highlights at home. That's the kind of thing that's just going to end up in a massive color correction. So I won't judge you, but we'll have to work harder, and it might be a longer appointment if you're going to do something like that. So please don't. But yeah, if you need to pinch the very ends of your curls and take a little tiny bit off, as long as you're working with dry hair and in really defined bundles, I think you're going to be safe, because you're not trying to take a lot of length off. You're just trying to make sure it doesn't feel frayed and allow it to get moisture again. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to be live Wednesdays for the month of April. And if this quarantine continues longer, we might be live longer than that. But if you have more that you'd like to know about, if today inspired you or spurred some questions, please send me your questions, because your questions and content will be what helps me develop what we talk about live. And who knows, if I get enough questions or comments or enough feedback, I might even go live a little bit more and be able to repost those videos online. So thank you for the hearts. Thank you for joining. I so appreciate you spending your lunch hour with me. I will see you all next Wednesday, where we will be talking about, let's see what's next Wednesday. Ooh, it's called So You Wanna Go Gray. So if you know anybody who's thinking about gray enhancement services, maybe they wanna go natural, maybe quarantine is giving them a ton of regrowth and they're thinking, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the time for me to start moving towards my natural color. How do I do it? What's my plan? I specialize in color, and I love helping women to embrace their gray, whether they want to take it all natural, be a little bit in the salon a little less frequently for color, or if they want to just enhance it, silverize it, make it look even more appealing. So let's enjoy our silver, and let's talk about So You Want to Go Gray. What's next? And we'll talk about those options. All right, guys, thanks again. We'll see you later. Bye.